What if I told you that the Republic was now under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith?
No, that's not possible. The Jedi would be aware of it.
The dark side of the Force has clouded their vision, my friend.
We would be honored if you would join us.
In Attack of the Clones, there is a scene that has caused many to theorize what would have happened if Obi-Wan joined Count Dooku after his proposition to him to join him and bring down the Sith Lord. In today's fanfiction episode, we will explore this very scenario and the impact that it would have on the galaxy. Count Dooku was one of the most highly respected Jedi Masters in the Order, having taught Qui-Gon Jinn and been one of the galaxy's finest swordsmen. His fall to the dark side was due to his frustration with the Jedi's lack of vision, with the constant need to favor the Senate and the people, losing Jedi in security missions that they had no place being in solely for the Republic's sake. Dooku packed his bags, figuratively, and reinstated his title as the Count. During the Phantom Menace, Darth Sidious had been manipulating Dooku tremendously, and upon their meeting, Dooku realized that this was the very first Sith Lord that he had ever met, as the Sith had been dormant and hidden for over 1,000 years. Realizing that Sidious made a lot of sense with his views on the Jedi and the galaxy in general, he eventually joined him, however, to much regret, as we see later in Episode 3. In Attack of the Clones, we see this scene where Dooku speaks to Obi-Wan, who he has imprisoned, and reveals to him the Sith Lord who has clouded the Jedi's judgment, alluding to Palpatine being the very evil entity they are looking for, reminiscing on Qui-Gon Jinn and saying if he were only here that he could use his help.
Qui-Gon Jinn would never join you.
Don't be so sure, my young Jedi. You forget that he was once my apprentice, just as you were once his. He knew all about the corruption in the Senate, but he would never have gone along with it if he had learned the truth as I have.
The truth?
The truth.
This would strike many feelings within Obi-Wan. He would remember how his master was never on the Jedi Council due to his brash approach and true Jedi ways, not adhering to the Senate or the people, but rather giving in to the will of the Force entirely. When Dooku explains how Qui-Gon would most likely have joined him, Obi-Wan realizes that he is right. His master and Count Dooku were very similar. After all, they were master and Padawan at one point in time. Vowing to join him and overtake the Sith that has lurked in the shadows of the galaxy, Obi-Wan would be freed by Dooku only to send a message to the Council in private, reaching Master Yoda, telling him he has joined Dooku in his crusade against Sidious, the Dark Lord of the Sith. Yoda, who is Count Dooku's original master, cautioned Obi-Wan to be very careful of the dark side that is now within Dooku, and to gather as much information as he could about the Sith Lord he speaks of. Obi-Wan, who would never have turned to the dark side, would do as Master Yoda told him, and would meet with Dooku to learn more about how to take over the Sith and the galaxy, pretending and playing the part of his new apprentice perfectly. Now, while I don't think Dooku was entirely a Sith to the core, like Palpatine was, I do believe that he had turned evil and there was no bringing him back to the light, unless Qui-Gon was around, of course. Dooku would be so excited to see Obi-Wan join him to take advantage and overthrow Sidious that he would tell Obi-Wan everything about the Sith Lord, including, just like when Obi-Wan was imprisoned, that it is indeed Palpatine, the politician.
Hundreds of senators are now under the influence of a Sith Lord called Darth Sidious.
I don't believe you.
The Viceroy of the Trade Federation was once in league with this Darth Sidious.
This was what Obi-Wan needed to know. He would bow to his new master and tell him, but he would have to go to the Jedi Temple to complete a mission they sent him on, so as not to seem suspicious for his long travels. Upon Obi-Wan's return, he would have Yoda hold a High Council meeting immediately, and would tell them everything that Dooku revealed to him, including the identity of the Sith Lord that has clouded their judgments, Palpatine. The events that would follow would be similar as in the Revenge of the Sith, however this time, it would work. Yoda, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Saesee Tin, Kit Fisto, Plo Koon, and Aegon Kolar would enter the Chancellor's office together, holding the Chancellor under arrest.
Master Windu.
Completely overpowered, Palpatine knew he was absolutely no match for the 7 most powerful Jedi Masters who just stepped into his office. He would fight and die, or escape through the window, giving up his seat on the Senate and having a bounty on his life forever. His last option was the most intriguing. He would give in and be tried for being a Sith Lord. The 7 Jedi Masters would send Obi-Wan to lure Dooku into a trap, capturing him and bringing him to the trial with Palpatine. The 2 would be found guilty of high treason and would be sentenced to jail for all of their lives, locking them up forever, far, far away. Anakin would never lose his arm. He would marry Padme in secrecy and never have dreams of her dying, which I fully believe were induced by Sidious's conjurations, which he was extremely powerful in, just like his former master, Darth Plagueis. Skywalker would grow to become the most powerful, gifted, and worthy Jedi Master of the Temple and lead the Jedi to uphold peace, justice, and security for the Republic. Padme and Anakin would have Luke and Leia, where the Council would train them to become the prodigal children of the Academy, giving rise to a new era of Jedi Knights, keeping the peace in all corners of the galaxy, until one day a dark shadow would return from hiding to seek his revenge.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
The entire galaxy would have changed if Obi-Wan was just quick to think on his feet and fake being Dooku's new apprentice. If he could have pulled this off, then everything would have been different. I think there are so many stories Disney could touch on if this did happen, such as the fall of Luke or perhaps another Jedi to come, or the return of Darth Maul, bringing rise to some new threat to the galaxy. It's really too bad Qui-Gon had to die. I feel he had much more to offer as a character. Thanks so much for watching this episode, everyone. Let me know what you'd like to see in tomorrow's episode of Star Wars Theory. I'll see you all then. Until we meet again, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends, remember,
The Force will be with you. Always.
Now, fulfill your destiny.